Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Coming up, we talk about who's scruffy looking and who is not. But first, some SWTOR and Guild news. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 191, who is neither scruffy looking nor a nerf herder, but will be heading out in the broadcast Escape Pod today. With me, as always, is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Well, it's going really well. I mean, we're going to talk about Nerf Herder later, but there's that. We just finished our mandatory fun night, for which attendance is not mandatory, but tonight we went and we killed the eyeless, which is fun because we did terrible job the first time, and then we slowly improved until we finally got him down in about 3 or 4 attempts. That fight always kind of gets the best of us because it comes it we don't it doesn't come often, and we had 16 people, and it's kind of a positioning fight, and the room is what it is, right? And there's rocks and jutting, and you have to kite him around in a circle, and the people, blah 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 blah, and there's lots of stuff on the floor, and it made me think, I'd really like to see a boss fight for once where it's like this long, really big, like almost like a hallway or like a ballroom that just goes on for a long time. And the boss, you have to kind of march the boss down the middle of this hall, so the tank is like walking backwards, and he's got the boss, and then the raid is, behind, and we're all moving down towards the end, and you have to kill him before you get to the end. And then I thought, but there's also ads coming in at certain times, and you have to like kill the ads. But no, wait, no, you don't kill the ads. You have to turn the ads to your side, so that by the time you get to the end of this great ballroom, you have like the original team plus all these ads, and they're all trying to kill the boss, and it's a very epic ending to the boss fight. But you
I
never run out of space.
Yeah, no, I sort of like that. I sort of like that idea where if you've got to move the boss around, well, what if you took that to the extreme? Like you basically the tank had to like keep moving. You like everybody, you end up like walking a mile throughout the
Yeah,
whole fight. That would,
yeah, we're sort of like RP walking down the length of this hall and killing the boss as we go.
yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. No, I mean, if it's just a narrow hallway and you're just going down the whole length of it, doesn't seem like it would. I know it can be problematic to have too much space because the boundaries on what can go wrong are different. But yeah, with just like a long narrow hallway, that I think that would be really cool. You should be an ops designer.
And it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, I'm not adding in a bunch of mechanics except for the part at the end where there's hundreds of. Anyway, so yes, we did eyeless. Um, and then we went and killed and unkilled Lucky, who's the regular world boss on Corellia. And when I say killed and unkilled, I mean you kill Lucky to get the title Lucky, but before that, you let him kill you to get the title Unlucky. So that's always fun because there's always a few people who haven't gotten the Unlucky title yet, so we get to watch them charge in and die, and then we summon them back, and then we kill him. And he took a long time to kill because he's just got a lot of health. He doesn't do anything challenging, but he just has a lot of health.
Right.
And then after that, we went and killed the Rackle related world boss a couple of times, and that's good for
Toxon.
command points. Yes, that's very good for command XP.
It is very good.
Well, let's see. Last week in our regular ops group, the ops team that you and I are on, we we got a late start because of hockey. I don't know, something going on with hockey. Um, and then we went and stabbed Tithe, who's the new operations boss, which was fun. And then we took a few times at the veteran version in which he stabbed us. And then, yeah, then I think by then it was pretty much, our quitting time. But I liked Tithe. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I like the whole Nerf herder thing, but we're going to talk about that in a bit.
Yes, we
So
sure
yeah,
will.
how was your week?
Yeah. So with that stuff, I also like that Tithe fight, and we'll start it on hard mode, or veteran mode this week as well. I think it's great because it's new, number one, but two, I think there's a few different ways to do it, and that you can mess around with and play with a bit, and decide how much you're going to pay attention to what kinds of ads. And so I like that. And then with the hard mode, you get a little bit of an extra, some veteran mode, you get a little bit extra mechanics built in as well. It's pretty cool. Plus, he's a cool looking boss, which also reminds me, I guess I didn't put it in the news, but we can mention it. We got a preview of the next boss, which is a set of twins, and they look very cool as well. So I'm really liking the theme and the planet and the operation so far. I also finished the story. Maybe we'll talk story at some point in the next couple of weeks. And in doing the story and some PvP and some GSF, I have been opening quite a few packs. And in doing enough PvP, I've been getting some unassembled components, unassembled PvP components as well. Enough to get me some 246 and 248 gear in a couple slots now. So my main hand weapon is 248, and that was done through upgrades via unassembled PvP components. And then I got a 246 weapon drop that I put in my offhand. And my chest is 248, and I got a couple other, my gloves are 246, my belt is 246, my legs are, then I put some extra, I saved some extra mods, and then everything else below that is 240 or 242, so I'm feeling pretty geared out.
That is nice.
Yeah, it is, it's fun too, it's fun in PvP.
I bet.
But it's not overpowered. You don't need to nerf mercs. Jeez.
Don't
everybody
nerf
says
mercs.
It's the first thing everyone says, although there's plenty of classes that are at least as good, if not better, parsing than mercs. So there you go. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. It's fun to continue opening those packs and getting into the tier 4, and it's feeling fine. So I'm liking it. But with that, we can talk about what is up with the rest of the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So a few things that showed up in the dev tracker. Eric Musco chimed in and responded to some threads asking about the storyline, because if you're not prepared for it, or you don't expect that it's not going to be the end of everything, the storyline isn't done, and it's pretty obvious when you get to the end of the story. So you'll see that it's not like it stops in the middle, but you do get to the point where it's obvious why you want to start doing the operation. They did make it clear, though, as part of that also, that while the story will continue and evolve a little bit over the next 90 to 120 days potentially, will not need to you won't have to do the op to get the rest of the storyline as it unfolds. So that's interesting.
Right. And speaking of 90 to 120 days, he's also, his initial post, he said he was getting ready to do a roadmap, and in some subsequent posts, he also said he's going to do a roadmap. And what's going to be included in the roadmap is specifically what's coming in the next 90 to 120 days, along with an overview for the whole rest of the year. And then he says he'll provide quarterly updates to address any potential schedule changes, et cetera, et cetera. So it sounds like a good communication plan. I
Yes.
like the weekly format of the live streams, but it doesn't seem they're going to go that way. But a roadmap is an excellent communication mechanic as well.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I really liked the dev streams and the weekly format, especially when there was chapters coming out all the time and things like that. But they got a lot of criticism for them too. So what are they supposed to do?
Do what I want.
Do what?
I mean, I think a roadmap is cool. But it's just one part of of communicating with us. I would like to see, and Keith so far has been posting quite a bit, so we'll see.
Right. Hopefully that will continue.
Continue, yeah.
And his spirit won't be broken by the
Yes.
by that anger.
Well, I don't see
and-
how it can be because
True.
theoretically he's been reading the forums all along,
True.
right?
True. This isn't new to him. He has, but now it's going to be personal.
Right. That's an excellent point too.
So we'll see. Also in the news, there is some controversy over some of those new IOCath dailies. There's also a few things that they're tweaking. There's a lack of command XP, for example, in completing the story. In the IOCath dailies where they either ask you to use a walker or you're allowed to use a walker, I have a couple in my log that says, walking the walk, which is defeat 40 enemies on IOCath as a walker, and detect and destroy, which is defeat 10 enemies as an IOCath monitor, and I think there's one for the mouse droid. The problem that people are expressing, or the frustration, is grinding the shards to be able to do those things. Having a cost to be able to do that kind of repeatable mission is a little bit frustrating, for one. And for two, the reward you get for first having to grind up those shards, and then you get in the thing, and then you do the quest, and then you're getting like 55 command XP coming out of it. People are looking at it going, nah, no, I will just go to CZ198 and do those if I really feel like doing a daily, because I'll get it done in a tenth of the time.
Right.
They said they are expecting that they're going to boost the rewards for that to some degree. That was another thing that Keith posted some notes on in the dev tracker this week. So there's that.
Yeah, I will say that I have had limited exposure to the Walker, this iteration of Walker as player, and it wasn't bad. I mean, he moves at a pretty good clip. You can tell he speeded him up over as opposed to the Walker that was in the chapter.
Sure. Okay. Because those did feel sort of slow.
Yeah, they felt kind of slow, and then he does feel kind of epic. Like when he stomps, it can one-shot a bunch of people right around him, and we can shoot things, they fall over dead and stuff. So that's what you want from a walker, right? Like they shouldn't, hit soft. They should hit hard. I mean, it's a huge, big mechanical thing.
Yeah, I agree, and that hits on I think what my suggestion was for those kind of vehicle quests. If you're going to give us a vehicle that we have to use, it's going to be clunky. It's not going to be the things with the abilities that we're used to. It's not our own class, and make it overpowered. Make it interesting, especially with these. If I'm going to have to grind shards and pay to play,
right.
make it overpowered. So if it feels a little bit that way, then great.
Definitely don't make it feel like you'd go much faster if you'd got out of the walker and started punching things. Yeah.
Right. And then what else? We saw some reboots and server restarts this week, didn't we?
Yeah. So this week for the maintenance was some back-end maintenance of servers, and it was East Coast servers. So they were making some infrastructure changes / improvements, and then they had to reboot the servers again. So
is Jedi Covenant an East Coast server? Is it counted as an East Coast server? Where is it located? Do we know?
I have no idea, but they listed the servers that were affected, and that was in Jedi Covenant. They said East Coast servers and listed the servers, and Jedi Covenant was one of them. So
I thought they were in Austin. Was the eastern data centers were actually in Texas, but maybe not. East of the Mississippi.
Maybe they said Eastern, and I just read East Coast. But they did do a reset today because I was in the game when they announced it, and it was
a later one.
Yeah, because they found something that they needed to do as a follow-on to the back-end maintenance they did earlier today. So
they needed to try turning it off and back on again.
Yes, right. Exactly.
All right. In Guild and community news, we continue to have people looking to get invites to the Guild, like I see right now in Guild chat. So that is good. But how about the guild stuff we're doing, like MFN and Conquest, Seema? I'll do this guild invite, and you can talk to us
Okay.
about guild news.
All right. Thanks. Because I was just noticing that too. So in Conquest this week, it's Rakghoul Resurgence, and it's on Corellia. So the Rakghouls are in town. That's how come we were able to go kill the Eyeless on MFN. On the Imp side, we're invading Corellia. On the Pub side, it's Nar Shaddaa. Notable, repeatable activities are Group Finder Flashpoints and Ops, the weekly Flashpoint missions, and the weekly Uprising missions. Of course, as usual, War Zones and GSF. And then the heroic missions on Corellia. Not on Nar Shaddaa, but just on Corellia.
Right, to match up with the Rakghoul being on Corellia this week. That makes sense.
Right.
Because we know...
Fresh Rakghoul meat! I mean, I hope not. I hope you don't.
We hope you don't, on Corellia. And killing the Eyeless, yeah, I guess we already got our conquest points for killing Eyeless tonight, so that's good. Also, as always, we've got some conversation already going in the chat room tonight. People are helping us out, clarify and investigate and solve problems and say hi and keep us company. Really appreciate that. And I will talk to all of you after the show. But with that, I think we can check out and talk a little bit about this new hidden achievement that's in the game.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
Who's scruffy looking?
So Seema may or may not be scruffy looking, but she is a nerf herder, as I can see
That's
here
right.
by your title. That's pretty cool. I am not. I haven't done it yet. So Seema is going to talk to us about the nerf herding and the scruffy looking achievement and what that's all about. Maybe we'll even pop over to Alderaan here and she'll give us a little bit of a tour. And then maybe we'll wrap up by talking a little bit about some of the other old school pet, other kinds of pet missions that are in the game that people probably have forgotten about. In fact, some that we forgot about until we looked them up. So how did it go, Seema? How was your nerf hunt?
So basically last week after, on Wednesday, sometime on Wednesday, that's when I became aware of it anyway, but I'm pretty sure that's when it happened. Dolphy posted up a guide on how to get these nerf calves, taken largely from a blog post by a guy who'd been doing a lot of research and finding out all these spots. And so I took the guide and everybody's hard work and, glommed right onto that. And I went out and got the 3 nerf calves. And the process is very simple, but it can be a little bit time consuming. So there's 3 planets and there's 3 different nerf calves. So that's Alderaan, Hoth, and Voss. And in each case, you go to one location and you find a data pad and you read the data pad and you get a buff. And when you read the data pad, it says, nerf calves. Maybe if you found somebody that they could eat, you would be able to take care of some or something like that. So then you have to go and look for some kind of food for the nerf calves. At this point, you haven't seen them, but you're going to go look for some food. And on each of these planets, there's 2 or 3 locations where the food might spawn. And it's on the ground kind of like an herb would be, or a bioanalysis thing. And they spawn on some kind of a rate. I don't know if it's random or if it's set or if it's long or if it's short. I just know that when you go there, if it's not there, then you have to keep checking back.
So how long was it like taking you? So first to kick it off, so you were looking for nerfs in Alderaan places?
Oh my God. Well, what I did was
like the last 2 minutes. It was really hard.
What I did, because I was expecting competition, is I took one character to Hoth, and I went and looked for the food, and it wasn't there, and I changed to the PvP instance and it wasn't there, so I changed back to the first instance, and then I just parked that character there, and then I logged in another character and went to Alderaan, and it wasn't there, and I logged that character out, and then I went to Voss, and the Voss one I found, and then when I went back to Hoth, it was there. When I went back to Alderaan, it wasn't there, but I, logged in again later. So I think now, though, with fewer, maybe, well, I don't know if it's going to be fewer or more people doing it right now, but yeah, that's what I did. I just waited for it to spawn. I did go to each of the, whatever instances were available, which is a little bit tedious because when you switch to the PvP instance, then you go back to basically the nearest quick travel point.
Right. Okay.
And so you have to re-travel that part again. And if you had to kill mobs on the way, you have to kill them again because you're in a different, a separate instance. And then you go there and if you're like me, as you get closer and closer, you start thinking, "Oh, I wonder if it's going to be there. I just know it's going to be there." And you get there and it's not there, and you're like, "No." But yeah. And then there's the places on Alderaan. Well, in all of them really, but Alderaan in particular, they're just really far apart, and they're in really remote places. But once you do
for the food that you got to go
for
find?
For the food, yeah. And then once you do find and the buff, by the way, if you let it's only for an hour. It can run out. Then you have to go back to the data pad and get it again.
Okay.
Then once you get the food, then you go to the location where the nerf calves are, and you feed them a food, and then one of them comes home with you.
Very nice.
Yes, and when you get all three, then you get the title, and then you get the deco, which is the lovely painting of a nerf that you were showing earlier.
Right. And then they periodically moo when they're following you around, apparently.
Well, that hasn't been, we're not sure if that mooing was coming from the nerf or from Max, but...
Oops, sorry, that was me. Oh, look, I'm here on Alderaan, and I just stumbled across the base station underneath where you have to disable the shields for the Sky Fortress.
Oh, right.
Which I still think it's cool that you can still come across those and encounter them.
Yeah, I do too.
So that it should be around here somewhere, though, where I am, or maybe I'm not in the right place. So
are you looking for the data pad?
Yeah, I'm on Alderaan. So find the data pads, then it gives you the buff. That's why you need to find the data pad. Got it.
Yeah. You're in the right area. They're really, really tiny.
So how long, like per nerf, did it end up taking, would you say?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I was logging out and going to other characters. But today I did the Alderaan one on Seema here because she didn't have any nerf calves, and I wanted to be able to summon one for tonight.
Oh.
And I think that took about, I don't know, maybe half an hour. Because
Okay.
I did have to check instances and wait for a spawn. And I checked a couple of different places until I finally found it.
Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. And then, what about the achievement? How does that work? And the title?
When you, it works.
Do you have to get all?
It's
you just check off. You get all three, and then you get it. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get all three, and then you get it. I believe you have to learn them too. Like when you first get it, it comes in your inventory.
It's just an item in your inventory. Is it
Yeah.
legacy bound or is it bound?
I think you know what? I didn't even look because I just clicked on it. But I think it's, I don't know. I will have to find
right,
another
that's
one, and
good.
then I'll get back to you on that.
That's a good question. Legacy bound versus bound versus. Okay, so there's Fort Alda. I gotta go a little bit farther north, apparently. All right, so that's cool. I like the idea of this kind of thing. I do. I go back and forth. I mean, obviously, we didn't have to look at a guide on where to find these things. Could have tried to figure it out on your own. But some of it's.
But the thing is, I don't know if you can or not because it's not like there's clues.
Right. Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like, I don't know who found it the first time and I don't know if they used data mining, for example, to find it. Did we hear how the first person found it?
I read his blog post, so he didn't mention here. I'm going to get his name, but he didn't. I don't think he mentioned data mining, but maybe I skimmed.
Because I don't know how you would,
I don't know how you would find these locations otherwise,
or even find the data pads as an individual. You'd have to really crowdsource and have everybody's, or how you would even know to go scour every planet in the galaxy and be looking around for a data pad.
So the guy's name is Soldier Katarn on Harbinger, and his blog is called SWTORachievements.weebly.com. And basically this is the main thing on his blog, the Who's Scruffy Looking Achievement. And he's got all the locations and pictures and stuff. And this is basically the source material that Delphi used when they wrote their guide. But they did it in her style, and hers has got a lot more pictures and it's organized differently, probably better. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my point is I think I would prefer it a little bit more if it was a little bit more discoverable and you could sort of maybe puzzle it out on your own and do it that way. But even without it being that, it's still pretty cool. I like these kinds of things, and I like that they're in there at all. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, BioWare,
yes.
for doing it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I would like it if there was a chance of figuring it out on your own. I mean, you'd have to go all over the planet of Alderaan like a Roomba, to find these things.
Maybe if they did something with macro binoculars, like where as you landed on a planet, you could look around with macro binoculars, and up in the sky you'd see a beacon somewhere that at least pointed you in the right direction. Then anybody could figure it out.
I mean, they've done that before, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
or
I
would like
it.
I would, love a puzzle like where you find something and something's written on it. It makes you think, oh, that could be Quesh.
Yes.
Or that could be Belsavis. And then you think, oh, this reference here is referring to the Dread Masters when they were still in prison. I'm going to go check there,
Yeah. Exactly.
I would love that.
Yeah. But speaking of this one then and other ones that are in the game, there are more than just this one. So this is cool. I'm glad they did it. And it's a new little fun side thing that why not do it? Get some new little pets in there. Why don't you want to run through a couple of your other favorite ones that are out there that are just sort of like these open world things? I mean, we know there's tons of pets you can get that are drops off bosses and things like that, but there's other ones like this that people probably have either forgotten or never heard about.
Well, we were talking about, before the show, you and I were talking about the Tauntaun or the Tonlet pet and the Ice Scrabbler Jerky. So back in the day, the Ice Scrabbler Jerky, I mean, it's very common drop now, but it was kind of semi-rare. And if someone had the Ice Scrabbler Jerky recipe, then you would get the mats to him, so you could get the whatever it was that you had to make for the tonlet, and then you would lure the little tonlets. Is that the one where you had to buy the item to unfreeze the ice? And yeah,
that one I think. No, you just have to. You have to make the Ice Scrabbler Jerky, and I think you have to eat the Ice Scrabbler Jerky, and then the tonlets are, because they're invisible, until you eat it in the right place on Hoth, and then you can catch them and collect them.
That's right. The melting thing that I'm thinking of was a Datacron thing, not a pet, but also on Hoth. So there's the tonlet. There's also a pet, a droid pet or toy. Is it a pet or a toy that you can get on CZ-198 by reading data pads with your macro binoculars. And it's kind of funny because they're like corporate emails, and you kind of piece together a little funny story by reading all the emails.
Yeah, I like that one. That's pretty hilarious. So that one I think is good. What else was I thinking of? Oh, the oralkeets.
Oh, yeah, the oralkeets.
I'm not looking at the notes. I'm off here trying to figure out where I can find some Nerf food while we're talking. But yeah.
Oh, you got the data pad?
Yeah, I found the data pad. I clicked on it. Now I have to go find a place where there might or might not be food. So I'm going up by the Thule Research Camp. But the oralkeets was one that was interesting too. I think those ones were pre-data mining before people, knew all the formats and ripped all the game files apart. And did take people a while to figure out. And you can still do that one. You can do the CZ198 one. You can do the Tonlet. You can get the Ice Scrabbler Jerky. You have to make the Ice Scrabbler Jerky. And then you can do the oralkeets, which is the open world oralkeet. You have to find the eggs. And you hunted eggs for a while too. I know I did too back in the day.
Yeah, that was really back in the day. That was when we were on our original server, I think, Keller's Void, before server merges. And you would go and sit at the spawn point for the eggs, and there would be 4 or 5 other people there, and we'd sit around chatting, waiting for an egg to spawn, and there'd be kind of an order, right? Like who got there first and who's been waiting the longest. And sometimes somebody would say, well, I've already got a few eggs, so why don't you take the next one? It was it was really kind of a fun little thing. And after the server transfer started, there was like this grace period where you could stay behind on the old planet, but eventually they were going to move your character for you. And as the population just thinned down to nothing, I would sit with one character and farm those eggs. And so when I finally came to Jedi Covenant, I came bearing many mysterious eggs. I still have them too, like a number of them anyway.
Yeah, that was whenever I was doing it. There was competition, but if you got a jump on the competition, you could also time out. Timing wise, it was like a 3 to 4 hour respawn rate, so you could set a timer and go back there and see if you could get another one. So when I was doing it, I remember setting up a few different characters of mine. I put one character. I think there's 5 locations on Alderaan where the nests are, so I put like one character at each of those locations, and then set timers for when each of them would spawn. And then kept logging them in to check until I got one that's log them in often until one spawned, and then check back 3 hours later to see if I could get another one. And I got a stack that way too. Yeah,
so you'd like log in, and you kind of log into the nest, be sitting there in the nest, and as you did that, there'd be like 2 or 3 other people kind of like phase in because they're logging in too, and then you're like, oh hi, welcome back.
Yeah, and you would, you could tell some other people were trying to time it as well, and you're going to see who would get it, and a little bit of competition. But yeah, no, that was good. But that one also had a puzzle associated with it, because getting the egg was only the first step. You had to figure out how to hatch the egg, and hatching the egg was a little bit of a puzzle too. I don't know who figured that out the first time, but you had to take the egg to Tatooine. Out in the desert is a Zerka research station, and there's a heat, sort of like a heating element that you'll take a little bit of damage if you stand under it even, out at this remote research station in the Dune Sea, in the southwest of the Dune Sea. You take the egg in your inventory, you go stand under that heating element, and then the egg will hatch.
But weren't you supposed to go and get something that would protect you from the heating element first?
Oh, maybe.
It's a long time ago.
No, that sounds correct. No, I think you're right. Maybe you had to is that what you had to go to a moisture evaporator and get a cool, refreshing something something, and
Oh yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah, cool, refreshing or something. But yeah,
there was a couple things you had to do with the moisture evaporators. That also reminds me of the Magenta Crystal. So again, back in the day, ooh, see, I just got a red message on my screen that said strange plants have been rumored to grow in this area.
yes.
But back in the day when crystals were not plentiful in cartel crates, you had to figure out where you would get crystals. Oh, I think I got a little plant sitting right here. Look at that, strange plant.
Yay.
All right, now where do I go with my strange plant on Alderaan? Where are the nerfs?
So the nerf calves on Alderaan are back close to the original place where you started.
Outpost
Let's see.
Fort Alda and Outpost Talaran. Okay.
Yes, Outpost Talarn.
Talarn. I never learned to read. But yeah, the Magenta Crystal quest, when we were trying to find good crystals, that's a relatively long chain. In fact, I think back maybe 2 years ago now, we did a podcast where we explained how to go get it, what it's like. And I'm sure you can look up guides too. Part of that was going to a moisture evaporator, getting a cup of water out of a moisture evaporator, and then taking it to Hoth, going up to the peak, the highest peak on Hoth, and then the water freezes, if I'm remembering correctly. And then you got to take the frozen water crystal and do something with that, and then go kill a force ghost and something, and then you get an uncut crystal.
Right, but it was Ilum.
Ilum. Is it Ilum?
At least the force. I think at least the
You're right.
Force
No,
Ghost.
yeah, you have to go to Hoth
maybe it
to
was
do
both.
the freezing, and then I think you're right. You have to go to Ilum because that's where all the force crystals are being mined.
Right.
So
right.
it was multi-planet quest there to go find all those places and do those things. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was wow. It's really taking me back, memory lane.
So there's those. There's the droid one at CZ-198 you mentioned. I also found one on the list, which was the droid that you can get. The droid that came with the first time that the Gree came to visit us. If you've never taken a character into the Grey Secant, when it comes, as soon as you go in there, there's a droid off to the side that gives you a mission to go off and scan a bunch of Gree droids that are around the galaxy. So this one's not too difficult, but it's time consuming because you have to go to each planet and find the droid on that planet and use the macro binoculars to scan that droid. And basically you're downloading, the quote unquote downloading data from it. If you get all of those droids done, then and go back to that guy, you'll get a little pet for doing that too.
Yeah.
And that one is cool because it's one of those little mini probe fighter droid pets, which I think is a cool model. And then the only other thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, maybe you were going to say this, but there's the macro binocular one where you go to a large number of planets, and there's, I can't remember how many, but then there's like 2 or 3 or 4 locations on each planet that you have to scan, and you get a probe droid for that one.
I was also going to mention, because while you're on Hoth with your Ice Grabbler Jerky, not necessarily a pet, but you can get a mount with open world questing mission puzzle type of thing there on
That's
Hoth,
right.
which is the Tauntaun mounts. So when those were first introduced to the game, the main way to get the Tauntauns was to, what do you have to do there? You have to, you buy them with a currency, but to get the currency you take food and you go to Tauntaun nests and you feed the little tauntlets that are in the nests, and then something happens, and
Something Tauntaun.
you lure a Tauntaun with you to you lure, if you're lucky, there's a chance to lure an adult Tauntaun to you, and then that gives you a data sheet because you're basically researching tauntauns. And once you get enough data sheets collected, then you can turn them in and get a tauntaun mount.
And that one was actually not bad to do. Even when it was, new and there were a lot of competition, it was still not that bad to do.
So I am here on Alderaan. Well, no, I'm not in the right place. I'm close.
Can you see me on the map?
Can I
Are we on the
see
same
you
instance?
on the map? No, we are. Are you? Well, we'd have to be. What, number 1? Make it so number 1.
Oh, apparently. Am I in the PvP?
Ooh, there's a champion of the dark side is hanging out over here. We must be at Dark 5 or Light 5.
Oh yeah, Janat the
Yeah,
Merciless.
Dark side. Okay, so I don't know, why can I not see you? Where are you?
Because I'm on instance 2. I'm switching
because
right
you're
now.
still in the PvP.
But you're
we-
close. You're close because I can see the same champion.
Should I go solo this champion?
Yes, would you please?
Janate the Merciless. Whoa, that's quite the scary mask. I would not recommend soloing these champions of the dark side. In fact, even doing it with an 8-person group is, if it's an 8-person geared group who knows what they're doing, then you'll be okay. But they are.
But if
tough.
it's like one of our groups, no way.
Okay, so I see you on the map now. And what do I gotta?
You
that's
target one
Treek.
and then you click on the food
Oh, they're there.
in your inventory.
Hello, curious nerf calf. And then click. Ooh, that's a new icon for the strange plant.
Yes, I thought about saying that the icons are really cool, and I thought, well, that's kind of a dumb comment.
Bound Hill Nerf Calf. So it's bound, it's not legacy bound. Used to summon your Hill Nerf Calf, which will follow you and passively observe you on your adventures. Why do they say that? Is that gonna
Because they
observe
don't
me?
want you to think that it'll fight for you.
Oh, that's okay. They wanted to make the point that it was passive, I see. As
Yeah.
opposed to my act dog here who will fight for me. Oh,
To the
there's my
death.
little Nerf. Should I turn on my game sounds and see if we can hear it moo?
I'm still just going to assume that it's you mooing.
Hello? Oh, do you hear it?
He's not that much smaller than Treek. Oh yeah, I heard that. They're passive aggressive. That's why.
Well, I was gonna help fight for you, but you ran out of that special food, so forget it. Passive aggressive. Oh, that was my dog making noise. So there we go. I think, and look, it didn't take me very long. So everyone, now you know what you can do. Go out and get yourself some nerfs and get yourself a new title and some artwork, some artwork to hang on your walls. Anything else to say to wrap it up? Yeah.
I'll just say that I forgot to mention before, but when you're doing the one on Hoth, there's an extra step because when you originally pick up the food, it's frozen, and you have to take it to a nearby lava place to warm it up
That
before
little
you can.
volcanic area where the
Yeah.
pirates are hanging out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That sounds. I gotcha. Defrost the food,
And-
and then you can feed it to them.
And for that, there really is a clue. I mean, when you look at the food, it says it's frozen. Maybe you should take it over to that lava place where the pirates are. I mean, it doesn't quite say that, but it does
That's
give you
cool.
a clue that you could figure out from.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll go do the other two and get myself the title too. So thank you, Seema, for the walkthrough, and get me my first Hill Nerf calf. I think we're all set. So with that, that was my dog. My dog makes a lot of noise. Here, I'll do one more thing before we go. Don't forget, with some of those pet companions, you do get legacy abilities. Not legacy abilities. You get abilities that are in a weird place. So under pets in your log. No, under legacy.
Oh, I don't know what you're looking for.
I can make him make noise.
Oh.
Companion. He's a companion. What am I thinking? Yeah. So I can make him.
Oh, you're talking about your dog?
Yeah. I can make him do that, and then I clap, and I can make him play dead. Play dead, dog.
But that's only because
correct
you've
me every
trained him
time.
to do that.
Yes, he's a good dog. But the hill nerf.
I like
Cafe
how
is
when you
just
tell him to
news.
play dead, you actually point your gun at him.
I know it's a little. Okay, with that, our EPC 198. Wow, EPC 191 droid is ready to head out. Thanks to all of you for joining us on newoverlords.com, on iTunes, on YouTube. We're live here on Twitch. We will stream again next Tuesday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central. Please follow us on Twitter @MaxTheGray and @AIESEMA. And come find us on Jedi Covenant and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. We would love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.